So Andrew, you have Gear Live. You have a successful YouTube channel talking about tech, talking about gear, and you are just growing fast, man. You're right in there. But you're also a speaker, and you're also into personal branding. And I'd really like to talk to you about that.
Okay, let's do it. What do you want to know? Let me know. I'm an open book.
So Andrew, who is Andrew? Who is Andru Edwards?
Wow, that's I do a lot of these interviews. I think that's the first time I've been asked that question. So you kind of threw me off. Who am I? Who is Andru Edwards? I am someone who, if you watch me publicly, someone who loves technology, consumer electronics, loves the idea of the future, what's coming next, how is tech going to help us get there? That's my public persona. So if you watch me on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, it's almost always, me either talking about new products, working with brands, or just things I'm personally excited about. Obviously, there's a lot more to me than that. I'm a husband, I'm a father. But ultimately, I would say I'm someone who's I'm really passionate about the things that really matter to me, passionate to where I'll throw myself all in. So for example, with tech, as you know, I have a YouTube channel. I've been doing this full time for about 14 years now. It started as a blog that was just a hobby. I just wanted to talk about tech. That became a full-time thing. And then I started doing videos 12 years ago, and I never stopped. And it's just because I love it so much. Being a father is very important to me. So, as much as I love my work, I'm someone who believes I work in order to live. I don't live to work. So, what my position and job has allowed me to do is, be my own boss, which allows me to be there for things that other people might not be able to be there for their kids. I can just stop working in the middle of the day to go watch him play a basketball game or something like that. And like I said, I'm also a husband, love my wife. Same thing, make sure, despite running a business, make time to, nurture that relationship. So that's me in a nutshell, I'd say. I'm someone who, like I said, I'm just passionate about the things I really care about and just throw myself all in.
And you have a dog.
Not just one dog. Let me know if they start getting annoying. I'll try to get them out here. I have
no, it's fine. We love dogs.
Right now we have dogs because we're also dog sitting. So it's like a zoo in here right now.
I got you. No worries. We're doing this from Greece, and it's really hot. So I got the balcony window open. I got the fan open over there. I'm not sure how good my microphone is. So the dog,
I don't hear anything. All I hear is
like a nature thing. It's like we're out in the wild. So how did you get started? How did all this start for you to get where you are right now? Because I really think that it's important to see how, this channel is all about success mindset, and how to succeed. And I think it's important that people understand that not everyone starts with, or some people do, I don't know, but not everyone starts with everything given to them. Right? Not everyone starts at the same place. And I don't think you should compare yourself to other people anyway. But how did Andrew start? How did you get where you are?
Yeah, that's interesting. So, usually when I get asked that question, I kind of start from where I started my company or a little before that. But, one thing you said that stuck out is not everybody's given everything.
Yeah.
Which makes me, want to answer before. When I was 4 years old, I was taken from my mother and put into foster care.
Oh, wow.
I spent the next 10 years in foster care. Different homes, a bunch of different homes, moving place to place to place. Eventually got adopted at 14 by a great family. But, if you looked at my life, if you were just a viewer of my life, you would probably say to yourself, that kid is probably going to end up in jail or dead, or he's going to be a criminal, like something, because, again, my mother, the reason I got taken from her is because she had a drug issue. First 24 homes I lived in were in the first 2 years. So every 2 weeks I was in a new place, new school. It was just tough. But despite all that, I was a straight A student the whole time. Because to me, even at a young age, when I was in school, it was, I'm not going to let the circumstances that I'm in that I didn't choose for myself, but that people are making these choices for me. I'm not going to let that define my life. I'm going to take control of what I can take control of. And as a child, really the only thing you can control is how you perform in school. So no one else can control that but me. I can make sure that I excel in this one area. So when I was in second grade, they determined, I wasn't getting good grades, and they determined the reason wasn't that I was a bad student, but it was because I was very bored. And so they put me in what they called a gifted class, a gifted school, and I started excelling. And all throughout, like I said, foster care and everything, even if I didn't like the situation I was in, I could always, kind of put myself into my schoolwork. I liked school. I wasn't one of those kids that hated school. It came naturally to me. I didn't really have to study all that hard in order to get, perfect scores on tests or anything like that. And then, fast forward to, like I said, I was adopted at 14. My mother died at 16 from AIDS that she got from a dirty needle that she had from using drugs about a decade prior. So, all of these things are life lessons, right? I had a hard childhood. I was the one to look out for my little brother, 5 years younger than me. So I was kind of like, I'm a kid, but I also have to be an adult in a way, or a parent. And as I grew older, and once I got adopted by this great family, and I could see the example, my dad was, hard worker. Almost everything I said in the beginning: hard worker, great father, great husband, just a great man in general. I had an example now. Here's how you should be as a person. Here's a good example of how to be just a good person in life and a hard worker. And he was an entrepreneur as well. And so that was where I was like, you know what, I'm going to not necessarily follow his footsteps, but like, here's a good example of someone that when I look at them, I don't see a lot of negative. Yeah. So that's how I want to live my life. I want people to think about me the way I think about him. So, my goal in life since I was a child I had two things. When they say, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
First one was a game show host. I wanted to be a game show host. There's a show called Double Dare, which in the US it was just like a game show for kids. And I was like, that's the coolest job. I want to be on TV, and I want to just help people have a good time. That's number one. Then number two, a few years later, it changed from that to I want to be a pro wrestler when I grow up. I want to be like Hulk Hogan. I want to be on TV and like make people like cheer or boo and travel the world.
You could be like The Rock from what you look like. Man.
Exactly. Yeah, those guys. So when I turned 18, I went to college for a semester, then I left and decided I was going to go all in on becoming a pro wrestler. And I did that for about 3 years. So I got to do it. And there's one thing, as weird as it sounds, I'm tying this all back to that mindset of entrepreneurism and success. In pro wrestling, you are in spandex tights.
Yeah.
You're doing fake fighting in front of a crowd of strangers. And that is very uncomfortable at first. Like, that is not the typical thing that people do, right? But
I don't know what's worse, the spandex or being in front of people.
Right, exactly. Or it's all very odd, but it teaches you, number one, you don't take yourself too seriously. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's no need to do that. You're not as important as you think you are. And in fact, people will find you more fascinating and more important if you're willing to not take yourself too seriously, if you're willing to be the butt of the joke, the punchline. People respect that and they see that. Secondly, it taught me not only are mistakes normal, but how to deal with them and turn them into a positive. So for example, as I said, pro wrestling, not real, but the goal is to make it look as real as possible. So I need to make it look like I'm hurting this dude and it has to look like he's hurting me, but we really have to be keeping each other safe the whole time. His life is in my hands, my life is in his.
And it's not easy. It's not easy, man.
Not easy at all.
It's very athletic.
Exactly. It's very athletic. And it's, if he has me upside down with my head pointed towards the ground, my life is in his hands, right?
Yeah.
One wrong move and my life can be changed forever. So it teaches you, discipline, and then it's also mistakes. Like if you have a microphone, like when people do videos, if you're in your home or if I'm here in my home doing a video and I mess up, it's like, okay, let me say that again. I messed up.
Yeah.
If you're in front of a crowd of, 500 people and you have a microphone in your hand and you mess up, there's no, oh, wait a minute, can we do that again? I messed up. We'll do
yeah.
You just have to roll with it. You have to learn how, every mistake that you make, oh, I meant to do that. How can I quickly recover? And you have to quickly recover. Otherwise, it's going to be deer in the headlights. So all those things I use nowadays in my videos and when I'm talking on stage. It's not taking myself too seriously. It's discipline to try to, do the best at my craft that I can. And it's also learning to accept mistakes that I might make. I'm going to make mistakes. We're all human. Mistakes happen. They're not going to depress me if I mess up or I lose in a certain area. It just means, okay, what can I learn from that and how to correct it in the future?
So basically, you had a very stoic mindset since you were a young kid, man. You just reacted. You knew you couldn't control things, but you reacted to it. That's a lot of respect, man. You went through a lot, bro. I didn't know that.
Appreciate it.
I had a more easier life when I was young, I'll be honest. Things got hard for me later. But also, all this, it probably, you wanted to be a showman, you were. But you also wanted to be TV, but then YouTube kind of like gave you what you wanted. So you pretty much achieved everything you wanted. And now you're doing something again with show business.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because I actually didn't even realize this until maybe a few weeks ago when I was talking to my wife about the whole game show thing and how I wanted to do this when I grew up, because the specific show, Double Dare, that I wanted to host, they just brought it back.
Wow.
It'd been off the air for, 20 years.
Tell me you're on there.
And so I said, I wish I knew, because I would have went down there and tried out to be the host. And it turns out that they hired another YouTube personality to be the new host of the show.
Oh, wow.
Which is
maybe they can get to see this interview and they can bring you on as a special guest after.
Hey, why not? Why not? That'd be awesome.
All right. So everybody that's watching this video right now, just message them and get Andru Edwards on that show. It's going to be awesome. Let's all make it happen.
But yeah, it's interesting that now, back in the day, I wanted to be someone on TV, helping people have a good time. And as it turns out, people do watch me. The modern day TV is the smartphone. The modern day TV is the tablet. We still have TV sets, and people can pull me up on these devices anywhere they are and watch me and hopefully, have a good time. I try to have fun in my videos and make people laugh and also give them information. And it's incredible to see, where we were back then, no smartphones, none of this stuff, to now this is the device that people use to watch content. And there I am right there.
So what drove you to get where you are? What's that one thing that gave you that oomph, that like push to drive you where you are? I know that success is born from inspiration or devastation. It's usually the latter, but what's that one thing that drove you personally? For me,
it kind of goes back to that passion. Like I said, I started, Gear Live started as a website. It was a blog. 2004, I was actually applying to be the tech writer for About.com, which was a big website back in the day. And I didn't get the job, but the way that you apply was to basically write content, write blog posts for 2 weeks as if it was your job already. Mm-hmm. And then they would see all the different people that were applying. They'd choose, okay, which 2 weeks worth of blog posts do we think is the best and fits in best with our company? So after that, I didn't get it. And I was like, well, I have 2 weeks worth of blog posts here, which is probably maybe 28 blog posts that I wrote, probably 2 a day. And I was like, well, I'm not just going to let this go to waste. I think it's pretty good work. So I'll just buy a domain name and put it up there. And every day after work, I maybe spend an hour or so just kind of reading the tech news and then writing my opinion. Here's the news of the day. Here's what I think about it. And after about, I'd say 8 months, 8 or 9 months, I just realized I was making about $500 a month from Google AdSense ads running on the blog. And I said to myself, if I did 8 hours a day instead of 1 hour a day, could I multiply that 500 by 8 times? And if I could, then I'd be making more than I make at my job. So that's when I decided, like, I'm going to quit my job and I'm just going to go for it because this is what I love doing. If I had to do something every day, all day, it's talking about tech. That's me. So I quit my job and, started writing 8 hours a day. And the thing with AdSense is you can easily see almost immediately, maybe 24 hours later, like how much things are changing because it's pretty real time. And things started going up drastically.
So did you 8x though, or did you like 3 or 5x because of the?
It was probably within the first 2 months. It probably did go up like 8 times. But what was interesting was about 2 weeks after I quit my job, a company reached out to me directly and they said, "Hey, we'd like to pay you $3,000 to run a banner ad on your website for a month." And that's when the light bulb went off because nowadays everybody talks about brand deals, right?
Yeah.
Back then, I was just thinking Google Ads is how I'm able to make money. There's no other, I don't know how to make money other than put Google Ads. But then a company reaches out directly and they're offering, a one-time fee that is, equal to or more than what I was making before. And so that opened my mind to, okay, I need to be more of a businessman. I can't rely just on Google and let Google do whatever they want to do when I'm not involved.
Yeah.
I need to get more involved with the business side and start talking to brands directly to see what I can do, to get the word out about their products, help my viewers, help my readers, and ultimately, make the company even more profitable.
That's awesome. Now, I got to ask you at this point, though, because right now it's all like uphill. Now, they say in order to succeed, you got to fail. Do you agree with that? And how do you handle failure?
I don't know that you have to fail in order to succeed. I'm sure there are people out there that just succeed and they're just good at what they do and that's it. I would say the closest I got to failure wasn't really failing, but it was just recognizing the change in the market. So when I started my blog in 2004, there were not that many tech blogs around. People didn't even know what the word blog was back then. So it wasn't oversaturated.
Yeah.
So it was very easy to get an audience. 2 years later, in 2006, blogs were everywhere. WordPress was there. People were just signing up for blogs and starting to write. And all of a sudden, it started to get really noisy. And a few of the blogs that also did tech were starting to get purchased by bigger companies like AOL, Condé Nast magazines. And all of a sudden, they would go from a staff of 1 or 2 people to, within a week, 15, 20 people, 20 writers. And it was just like, okay, there's no way that I can compete with the output of 20 people. It's impossible. And so it was like, I either have to change something, pivot in a way, or views are going to go down, which means money's going to go down, which means eventually I might need to just shut this down and do something else. And I didn't want to do that. So at the time, there was no YouTube. No one was doing video. YouTube did not exist. But I said to myself, I need a differentiator. I can't just write blog posts. And what occurred to me was, if I say to you, New York Times, Washington Post, any of these big magazines or newspapers, Wall Street Journal, you know what those are right away, right? I say the names, you know what they are. If I were to say the name of the top writer at those newspapers, you'd probably say, who's that? I don't know who that is. And so to me, it was like, okay, hold on. I have this brand, I have this website. No one knows me. It's hard to get your full personality out in a written post, especially about tech news, which isn't, it's kind of dry.
Yeah.
So that's where I said, I'm going to do video. I'm going to make videos about these things that I'm writing about. No one else is doing it. And that will give people, hear my voice, see my face, see how excited I am.
Wait, you did videos before YouTube?
Yeah. So basically I would just record videos and I'd host them on my own server. And obviously I had to pay for the streaming and the downloads and all that. But, that was probably $2,000 to $2,500 a month just to send those videos out. I put them out through iTunes. I had people direct download them, but it gave me another avenue to sell brands on sponsorships because now, hey, they want to be in my videos. No one else is doing it. Do you want to be in this video? It let me do specific shows. I was the first one to do tech unboxings. I own unboxing.com. I started that 13 years ago, unboxing.com. I started that word. Now it's everywhere. But that was part of what I did. I still own it today. Yeah, you can go to unboxing.com right now. I still own that. Oh, wow. So that was my way. I was seeing disaster ahead, but I needed to avoid it. And so video was what was going to set me apart from all the other blogs out there, because I was going to let you see my face, hear my voice, see how excited I got about our product when I opened it up. And that was it. That was the big change. January 2006, I started doing video, and here we are 12 years later, still doing it.
It's insane what you learn about people, man. I mean, I had no idea. That is so awesome. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you lose friends along the way? Did you lose people? Because I know you have to put a lot of time into this and people don't really understand it and so on. Or sometimes social circles change where they can't really, they feel they can't hang out with you like the outsider, because people work in like tribes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did that happen to you as well, or not so much? And if yes, how did you handle it?
I think I would say yes, but it's not like I lost friends because people were like, oh, I don't want to be your friend anymore. I think it's more, I lived in a different area when I started. And so I had the friends that I gained from, work and, around town or whatever. And then I moved to Seattle from, I was in another area called Olympia, Washington. I moved to Seattle. And at that point, I'd already been working from home. So now it's like, how do you meet friends? You usually meet friends by going out. You go to work, you hang out after work, etc. Well, I don't have any coworkers.
Yeah.
I work from this home office. So, it's like, am I just going to go to the grocery store and just meet somebody in the produce aisle? Like, hey, what's up? Want to be friends? So I think that's more.
I've done that though. Like, I travel a lot.
I mean,
I'm Paul.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think it's more, I move far away from the friends I had, and then making new friends when you work from home and work for yourself. That's more the challenge. Over time, I've met a bunch of people who kind of do the same kind of thing.
Yeah. And
that kind of becomes your new people. So the people I hang out with most, aside from my wife, is when I go to an event. A lot of these events, I see the same people over and over. It's like, hey, I just saw you 2 weeks ago in a different state, and now here we are again, and we hang out. And the other way, modern communication nowadays, we have text messaging and social media and all that. So it almost feels like, my close friends are people who aren't necessarily local, but it's people I talk to all the time. I talk to people all the time in New York and LA and Detroit, and every day. So it's almost like these are my friends, and also the ones that do the same thing I do. It's almost like these are my coworkers in a way, even though we all work for our own separate businesses.
It's
we bounce ideas off each other. We share information with each other, give each other advice. And that's just the new way of doing it. Yeah, this is something that wouldn't have been possible 15 or 20 years ago, but this day and age, it's the norm.
So Andrew, if you could change one thing from the past, what would that be?
I'm not one that I don't know that I'm someone that changes the past. I feel like everything in the past, like some people will say, well, do you wish you never went into foster care, or you wish your mother didn't die? And it's not, and of course I don't
Yeah.
wish that she died, but it's like everything that happened led me here. I like where I am. I like here. I like the person that I am. I like my life. I like the, what I get to do. I feel very blessed that I get to do this for work. It's not something that I take for granted, and quite on the opposite. It's like every day is like, I can't believe that this is what I get to do. Like, it's so crazy that not only do I get to do this, what I love for work, but people respect what I do enough to have me come to their events and get on a stage and talk to their audience about what I do for work. Like, that still, even as I say it, it's just like mind blowing. So it's not something I feel like I deserve, and it's something I completely appreciate, and it humbles me every day. And I wouldn't change anything, because this is all of that is what got me to this place, and I love this place.
Do you think anybody could do it? Do you think anybody could start a tech channel, a blog, or a YouTube channel now and do what you are doing?
I think so. It's very interesting, because when I tell people what I do, I think the first thing they assume is it's very easy. Like, oh, wow, this guy just plays with toys and records a video and uploads it, and this is how much he makes. It's crazy. I can do that. And people often ask me, oh, how do you do that? How do I get into that? I'm into gaming. I'm into knitting. I'm into whatever it is they're into. I'm into football.
Yeah.
I want to do that. And I will freely tell people, here's how to do it. A, B, C, just follow these steps, and you can do it. Now, how many people listen to me and actually go do it? Probably zero. Like, after all the years that I've been telling people, if you want to do what I do, here's what it entails. Not as easy as you think it is, but it's still doable. There's nothing special about me. I tell people, I say that a lot. There's nothing special about me. The only thing special about me is that I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm not afraid of putting in the time. I'm not afraid of grinding. That's it. If you're not afraid of grinding and you do this, you will have success too. Just don't expect success on day 1 or on day 30. You have to put in the time, put in the work, and it'll happen. A lot of people want instant gratification. They started a channel 5 weeks ago. They're still not making money. What's happening? This sucks. I'm like, that's
sub for sub.
What? That's when I build. Like, if you look at my body of work, like I said, I've been doing videos for 12 years.
Yeah.
Not 5 weeks. Like, it takes a while to build up. You need to put the time in. So I do think, though, there's an audience for everybody. Like, just like the internet, if there's anything that you're interested in, you just type it into Google, you're going to find a result. There's nothing you're going to type into Google that you're not going to find a result for. That means there's at least one other person interested in what you're interested in. So anybody can have an audience, as long as you're real with it, and as long as you're, just if you're passionate about something, go for it and do it. But you got to do it the right way, and do it in a strategic way, and do it in a way that promotes growth for yourself if it's something you want to do as a job. But I don't think it's too late for anybody. I think quite opposite. We're still in the early stages. I can't even imagine what we're going to look like 10 years from now or 20 years from now. It's going to be totally different. But as far as influencer stuff goes, and video and marketing, this is all still kind of a new frontier.
It's funny because people don't take free advice, and I'll tell you something funny. I used to always say that, but I wrote this book, Success IAO, and the other one, The Closers Part 3, one's on success mindset, one's on sales. You know this. Most of the people that have read it are either already successful or top salespeople when they bought it. So, like, people that are successful in general will have that mindset, will read and will learn from everyone. Whilst people that think they know everything, it's kind of the Dan Kruger effect. They don't do anything for that. They don't study. They don't do anything. Yeah. And by the way, do you read books?
I try to. I'm so busy these days traveling that more often than not, I'm just like on an airplane trying to catch up on some sleep. Like, it's nuts. But I read more like blog posts that I do,
makes sense.
Just because it's easier to digest and get the full story in. if I start reading a book, sometimes I put it down, then I don't pick it back up again.
Yeah. Well, I've done that. I got all those books. I've read a lot of them, but most of them are like halfway through or 1/3 through. I found that, I just split it. I go from book to book sometimes so that I don't get bored and I go back to it after a year or something. And then I realized, I could have learned this last year. But anyway.
Yeah. As someone on YouTube, quite honestly, I actually do a lot of YouTube. So if I want to find a method on success, for example, I might go to YouTube and watch a talk someone's giving rather than read the book.
Well, hopefully you'll watch my channel a little bit.
Absolutely. Why not?
I go a lot of YouTube as well. I mean, I learned video and the algorithm, YouTube and everything like that, mostly from Nick Nimmin, Owen Video, and Brian J. Johnson.
Right.
And I learned a lot from Gord Eisman, which is he's upcoming very fast, and I really like his stuff. And in general, I just look at everyone from Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, and I just that's my TV. I don't have a TV. I don't watch TV. Right. I will watch YouTube and have audiobooks or YouTube playing on my phone in my car or my stereo while I'm traveling. That's how I get information. But I do read though. I do try for a book a week, but it's more like a book a month.
Okay.
To be quite honest.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about branding, because that's the other thing. What you achieved, I would say it's mostly like you branded yourself. And I think that's what you have that what other people don't see or don't have, or maybe let's just talk about that, because so what is branding? What is branding, and how do you brand yourself?
Branding is basically, at least this is my answer. I don't know if this is like the college definition answer, but to me, branding is, when you boil it down, what does someone think about a thing? So if I say Pepsi or Coca-Cola or McDonald's or Apple or any of those, if I say those words, what comes into your mind? Whatever that is, that's the branding. That's the branding. So for me, in a personal branding, what do I want people, if someone were to ask you, who's Andru Edwards?
Yeah.
Whatever their answer is, that is your personal brand. So how would I want them to answer that question? Who is Andru Edwards? Let's say this is the answer I want them to have. Well, that's how I need to brand myself. That's how I need to live. That's how I need to conduct myself in order to get them to say what I hope it is that they would say. So, and that you have to be very specific about it. Like, who is Andru Edwards? Oh, he reviews tech on YouTube. It's not enough. There's how many people review tech on YouTube? So what you're saying is, I haven't set myself apart enough from other people if the answer is he reviews gadgets on YouTube just like these other 2,000 people.
That guy.
Right, that guy. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You want to drill down. So maybe he's the funny tech guy. Okay, now you're a little more drilled down, but there's still other funny tech guys out there, right? So, he's the tech guy that really loves smartphones and can talk about smart home technology, and he's also funny. Like the more you can add into that, the more unique you can have that answer be, the better your personal brand becomes. So that's really it to me. It is figuring out for yourself. If someone asks who are you, what would you want another person, not you answering? What would you want someone else who's familiar with you to say? And that's how you need to portray yourself. So that, it's important, because that is really how people know you. You want people to know you. Like I said earlier, I want people to know me. I want them to know my name and my face, not just my brand name, not Gear Live, but who I am. And so, you have to be very precise with what you portray. Most important part is being yourself. I personally think, you be yourself, but if there's a volume dial, you turn yourself up to 11.
Yeah.
So you be you, but kind of exaggerated version of who you really are. You don't want to be acting. You don't, if you're super, what do you call it? The people who like want to be by themselves all the time. I forget what it's called.
Introvert.
But
An introvert.
yes, introvert. If you're an introvert, don't try to be an extrovert on camera. That you're gonna burn out really quick. If you're an extrovert, don't try to pretend that you're just quiet. Just be you, because no one else can be you the way you can, and that again is going to set you apart from everyone else. But be you, and then figure out what is it about you specifically. What are the qualities and characteristics of you that you think you can easily portray? And what's interesting is that when you watch a TV show or a movie, any of the characters, they really try to focus on 3 characteristics of a character. They don't try to put all these different things on a character when you're watching a fiction-based show. And the reason they do that is because three different things allows those things to mix together in a certain way and allows the audience to see, okay, this is who they are.
Right.
They're honest to a fault. They wear their heart on their sleeve. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they're a nice guy or whatever, try to think of 3 things that about you that you can kind of make shine and come through, at least in what I do, through a camera. And if you can do that, you're on your way to establishing what your personal brand is. And again, it's how are people going to define who you are? How is someone else going to define who you are? That's what personal branding is. And whatever you want it to be, that's how you need to portray yourself.
It's funny because you said you were writing a blog, and I wrote a blog quite a few years ago, and I rewrote it at some point. And one of them was, "What's your gimmick?" Mm-hmm. And the reason was, back then I was an MC. I used to do entertaining. I used to do music videos as a producer as well, and direct. But I used to MC. I used to MC around Europe. I used to take the microphone, go on stage and sing, and stuff like that.
Nice.
And I did that without knowing how to sing. So, but what I did was I wrote this blog post on what's your gimmick? What's that thing that stands out? Like, what's your persona? And
right.
I think we're talking about the same sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So that's what and I really like what you said about the 3 things that you have to emphasize. And yes, when you're talking on character on camera or the phone, you have to overact. That's in sales as well. There's a reason for this. So what I want to get at is, what's your gimmick or gimmicks? Or if that's, or what's your brand? I'm calling it a gimmick, but I think it's kind of like what we're talking about, the same thing.
Yeah, I think, when someone watches me, what comes across is, number one, I'm knowledgeable about what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, and I'm also passionate. So number one is I'm passionate about it. But number 2, it's not just that, there's people who are super passionate about cars. Mm-hmm. Like, they want to see all different cars. They love these cars, but it doesn't mean they're knowledgeable about the cars. They just like them. You know what I mean? They just want to see them. They're interested in them. But it doesn't mean they have knowledge about them and that they can teach others. So I'm passionate about what I do, but I'm also knowledgeable. If you hand me, pretty much any gadget, give me 15 seconds and I can tell you all about it. You know what I mean? So I'm knowledgeable, and then I'm easygoing. Like, those are my 3 things. I'm easygoing. Yeah. Like, I want my videos to feel like I'm your friend in your living room who knows about this stuff, and you invited me over and we're just talking about it. We're just having a good time. Yeah, cool. I'm not the news. I'm not CNET. I'm not better than you. I'm not talking at you. Me and you are equal. I just happen to know a little more about this thing, and you're asking me a question about it, and I'm answering it for you because I'm your friend. Yeah. So I think that's really what it is there's the passion, there's the knowledge, and then there's just the easygoing, friendly back and forth. And even though obviously video is a one-way thing, I'm very active in my comments. I'm very active on social media. So when someone leaves me a comment or a question, I'm right there with them, and I tell them in the video, leave me a comment. I'll be answering all the questions for the next, 90 minutes when the video goes live. I'll meet you down there and let's talk about, any questions you have or any comments or concerns or whatever. So I think that's it for me. That's my personal brand.
Do you think your brand finds you, or do you find your brand?
I think I think it's almost one and the same, because if you're just being yourself, honestly and truly just being yourself and who you are, that is the gimmick.
Yeah.
So you don't have to think of if you're thinking about it, you're thinking too hard, because it should just be, who are you? Doesn't mean that you don't need practice to come across well on camera, because a lot of people at first they're shy and they're very uncomfortable on camera. But that doesn't have anything to do with who you are. It just means you need to get comfortable with this device and talking to it. And the easiest way to get comfortable with anything is just to practice, right? So just talk to the camera. Like I tell people, spend an hour a day and just talk to the camera. Don't even publish it. Because on day one, if you're uncomfortable, by day 30, it's just normal now. You're just talking to it. Right. So taking that part aside, because a lot of people say, well, I'm uncomfortable on camera. Well, once you get comfortable, then you just be you, and it'll come naturally. It shouldn't be something that you have to think about. How should I act, or what? It's just talk. Just do it the way that you would be if you met someone in person in a casual thing, not like a job interview, but just casual interaction. How would you be? Who are you? You're hanging out with someone for game night. Who are you? That's who you should be on camera, because that's going to be the most attractive thing, is seeing people for who they are.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Because I'm taking notes what you're saying, because I'm learning, but I'm also have some notes about what I'm talking about. And it's funny because you mentioned 3 gimmicks, and I just saw that I put down, when I used to MC, I actually had 3 things I was known for. And it's funny.
That's funny.
It's funny. It's really funny.
Now, what were those things, though? Now I need to know.
Well, one was I used to come down from stage. So first of all, I used to always play with the people. So I would be on the stage with the microphone. Somebody comes in like, hey, I see you. How you doing? Especially if he had his girlfriend or someone with him, I'd make him feel important. And now that person always wanted to come to the show. So but I used to always do it from respect as well. When I saw someone a few times, I would shout him out on the stage. And the second thing I would do to a lot of people, but in general, I would get off stage and go into the crowd. I was for getting off the stage, because I used to MC with the dancers and the DJ and everything. I used to get off stage, come down to the crowd, start jumping up and down with the crowd. Same thing even when I was in live events, when I was opening up for other people. I was more of a hype man, but I used to come down to the crowd. The second thing is when I started MCing at my own nightclub, and I started these absent nights, and I used to have this thing where I used to take the bottle, and I got this from Gifted. He was a very known MC back at the time, but I used to have a bottle. He used to do it from the stage and have people open their mouths, and they drink a little bit. Now, imagine me off the stage with bottles of absinthe. People are passing out all over the place. I didn't do it for a bad thing, but it just happens with absinthe. And I kind of find out the hard way, because when I first did it, I didn't know it was so strong. Because it tasted good. It didn't taste that bad. and the third thing was I used to love The Rock. And I used to love a thing when he used to do, what was it, man? It was, it doesn't matter what you think. And what I used to, and it used to, go like this to scare people. So whenever I was at a show and the organizers and the owner and, sometimes they would come down to meet me, I would shake their hands, like, hi, how you doing? How you doing? And if there was a girl, like a waitress or something, I'd scare her. And, it was like a thing. And those were my main gimmicks.
Okay, so there you go.
My active ones that I knew about, that I was conscious of. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So how do you fit branding into everyday life? Because, it's one thing doing it in camera, but it's got to be you every day, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, it's just everyday life is more, it's not me turned up to 11. It's more just me being me and not over the top me. But, even from the clothes I wear, like this is a video game styled shirt.
I was wondering about that. It was really cool.
Yeah, so it's like different Mario, different things from the Mario world, for example, from Nintendo. Like, I'm a big fan of that, so I wear it. So I try to even in my appearance, like I think about like the clothes I buy, like does this match what I want people to see?
Yeah.
Does this match, does this clothing match the ideal that I want people to think when they think about me? And so, even stuff like that is, my wife is always like, why do you have so many clothes? Why are you always buying clothes? You have so many clothes. And it's like, well, first of all, I'm on video. So if I wear a shirt on day one and then I wear it again, like 6 videos later, people are like, why does this guy always wear the same?
Yes,
the same clothes?
this happened to me. I got comments.
Yep.
And
So
some of them share the same day.
Yep. Like, hey, I have to have a large array of clothing, but also, I'm also, for example, a fan of like hip hop music, like urban music, and I grew up in New York City, and so that's kind of like my mindset. And so my clothes that I wear are either like some sort of urban fashion, or it's something tech related. Sometimes it's like an inside joke on the shirt that you would only get if you were like into tech, and other people are just like, oh, it's a cool shirt. But if you're into tech, like, oh, I see what he's going for there. So, even stuff like that when I'm going through airports or if I'm going to be somewhere public, because now I have to like remember, like I'm getting recognized more and more as I just go around the country, being almost in, I don't want to say character because that sounds fake, but being on brand, I guess. Almost at all times is something I think about. It's like something that occurs to me all the time, every day when I'm like getting ready to get dressed and stuff.
You're lucky. The Deadbeat Super affiliate has to wear a robe. I was talking to him with socks, and he's like, I'm so embarrassed when I go there. Sometimes I have to change everything, but as soon as I change it, I'm just myself. It's normal. People come and talk to me, and so like, how did you even start doing that? I mean, but that was branding.
I know.
That was branding. Andrew, we had this guy on in Greece. We have these on the beach. People, we have a lot of beaches here, obviously, and there's these people that sell these donuts, these sugar donuts.
Okay.
And one of the most successful people all around Greece is this guy that sells these donuts. Now, this guy wears a T-shirt saying "Orlikas," which means the sweet guy. And you'd always listen to me in a weird voice, like, oh, Orlikas, and he'd say these jokes and everything. And I actually talked to him one day, and he's nothing like that persona. He was acting, and he was selling the shit out of, I'm not sure if I can say this on YouTube, but the shit out of these donuts. And YouTube, if you're listening to this is a lot of donuts, man. So you gotta say the word, and it's like and that's basically branding, right? It's personal branding. Let me ask you something, Andrew. If you, and this is one of those cop-out messages, cop-out comments now, questions, because it's really easy for me to just sit back and let you do all the work here. If you were to write a book about branding, what would be in it?
Yeah, one thing that you just said shouldn't be discounted. Like the man you just talked about that sells the donuts.
Yeah.
He has a personal brand. Or actually, I don't know if he has, I don't know if you call it a personal brand or just a brand.
Or a gimmick.
Or he definitely has a gimmick, but he's playing a role. Now, there's nothing wrong with playing a role. But when you're playing a role, it's work.
Yeah.
He's working. He doesn't go home and act like that because, as you just said, he's nothing like that.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So for me, when I'm thinking of branding, I'm wanting my branding to not be work at all. Yeah. I don't want it to be another thing I have to think about and like create. And I just want it to be natural, because that's one of the things, like, I'm very concerned about, like, I don't want to ever burn out. And I think acting and playing a role, you might get tired of it because it's not natural, and eventually you might burn out. Now, you might not, but I'm just saying it's a possibility. Yeah. But that is something to think about, because that is obviously a successful method for branding, is thinking about, instead of who am I and how do I portray me, it's what do they want to see, and how can I be what they want to see in order to sell this product.
You can also get away with things with a fake voice and an over-exaggerated character too, that you can't get away with
That's true.
Don't. So when you're on the beach and you have a beautiful girl in front of you, half naked with a boyfriend, and he wants to say like something funny, so like, if he does it normally, I don't think that would be taken very well.
Sure. But the character, it's okay. It makes it funny.
It's okay.
Right?
Like and I noticed this as well because in Greece I always used to rap and MC in English. And I noticed I can get away with a lot more stuff in English than in Greek, even when I did public speaking in Greece. Because I used to do it, I used to sell timeshare, I used to have a translator. You can get away with a lot more in English if it's a different language.
Interesting.
And that makes 100%, man. Even Gifford, which I mentioned before, same thing. He would do some crazy stuff. He would lift people on stage and steal their shoes. He would steal their shoes on stage, dude. You're not gonna get away with that. Okay. Then he used to give them some free shoes though, because he had some sponsors. But it's different. But again, you know, he tried to do that stuff. He tried to do that to my friend DJ Lord from Public Enemy. It was funny as hell.
That's hilarious.
DJ Lord did not have anything of that. He's like, nope.
No, man. You know, I think that's an important story though. Like if you're making a book about branding, personal branding especially, there's, you know, can you be you and sell, or is it better for you to come up with a character, play a character, but even then, your character has to be something that you can do better than anyone else can do. I assume there's no one else doing the same character that he does there. He kind of has the market on that, right? Yeah. So you're kind of taking ownership of that. So it's kind of the same thing because you're the natural personal brand. No one, like I said, no one can be a better version of you than you can. The brand he created, the character he created, no one can play that better than he can. So it kind of has a similar, you know, foundation. But like I said, I think, you know, ultimately if a book's being written about branding, you know, the first thing is, because people, they hear the word brand, what is that? It's like, what do you want people to think when they hear your name or your company name? Like I said, when I say Apple, if I say Apple, people have an answer for that. You know, whether it's a positive or negative one, they all have an answer. And a lot of times, you know, for example, let's just say, if I hear Apple, let's just say privacy, right? Privacy. Now, some people are going to say, oh, positive. Apple keeps my information private. They don't upload it to the cloud. They keep it on the phone. And Apple's a company.
I think it would be so technical. I think it would be straight to Steve Jobs. Because nobody was very technical. And Steve Jobs was Apple. I mean, when you say Apple, that's who I think of. Or either that or the logo on the back, which is nice.
But the logo doesn't tell you who they are, because branding is more who they are. True. So whether you take Steve Jobs, that would be another one. So with privacy, like I gave a positive response, but people can also say, you know what, Apple is too controlling. They won't let me do these things that I want to do because they're so strict about privacy. That's why I like Android. So even if you take an answer about who is this part of their brand, what's part of your brand, it can still be a positive or negative thing depending on who the person is. Steve Jobs, so many people love Steve Jobs and so many people hate Steve Jobs, right? It's same answer, Apple, Steve Jobs. Okay, now is that a positive thing or a negative thing? It depends who you are, but it's still part of the brand. So, you know, you also have to recognize not everybody's going to like your brand, but not everybody has to like your brand. You don't need everybody to like your brand. You just need your community to like your brand.
True. I see you have Apple in the back.
Oh yeah, I have Apple. I'm talking to you on an iMac Pro right now. I've got my iPhone, my iPad. I mean, but again, this is, you know, Apple, you're talking to someone who has pretty much every consumer electronic device out there. So there's plenty of Samsung and LG and all sorts of stuff in here. You just happen to see Apple over there.
Yeah, okay. I like Apple phones, but I use computers, Windows.
Windows, yep.
Yeah. So what else would you put in the in that book? And I'm not going to make you talk about the whole book on camera right now, but it's a way of getting it's a way of getting questions out there that I may have not thought of.
Sure. Well, if it was, you know, just about branding, like one thing that I deal with on a daily basis is brand deals, which is me connecting with a company who has a product or service that they want to get in front of my audience. So it's, you know, the best way I can answer that is to go through, you know, what I do for work rather than a more general thing. Cultivating a community, if you want to be an influencer, personal brand, cultivating a community, think about not just who the brand you are, but who is your target audience. You need to have a target audience. You can't say my content is for the whole world, even if it's, you know, family friendly and all that. That's not what I mean. I don't mean like, is it adult only? I mean, who are you talking to? Now, the easiest way for me to do that is to say, I make content for me. I make content for the person who's like maybe not quite at my level, but someone who they love going to the Apple store. They love going to Best Buy. They love either buying or getting the latest tech. They wait in line when a new phone's coming out, or they wish they could, but they don't have, you know, either the resources to do it. But if they did, that's what they would do. That's who I'm talking to, because I used to be there before I started this full time. When I started my blog, I was someone who didn't have a lot of money, and I would make stupid decisions like, okay, let's see, my phone bill is due on this day, but if it's late, they're not going to cut it off for another 30 days. So that means I can go buy this new video game and I'll just pay the late fee as long as it doesn't get cut off. Like that was the math that I was doing in my head, which is
me too,
right? But that just shows that, you know, it's not a good thing to do, but I just use it as an example of how badly I wanted these things, how badly I wanted to experience these things. It wasn't about I just want to have it to show off. It was I genuinely want to have it to like experience it. I love this stuff. So that's who I'm talking to. That's people are living vicariously through me. So if I know who I'm talking to, like if you think about it, like if you're talking to your mother, or if you're talking to your grandmother, or if you're talking to your sibling, talking to your best friend, you're talking to your boss, you have a different way of talking to each of those people, right? You're not the exact same with all those different people. So you think about who you're talking to, and then it becomes clear, your message becomes clear. I'm talking to this kind of person, and I have a message, clear message, and a consistent message every time. So I would say that's another part of branding, is knowing who your target audience is, defining it, and then talking to them the way that you know, presenting things to them the way that you know that that person should be presented to. And I would say don't even think about it as an audience, as a group of people. Think of it as a person. Who is the person? Define the person who your content is for, who your product is for, who the service is for. And then now that you know who that person is, talk to that person.
Are you going to write a book?
People have asked me that so many times, if I'm going to write a book. It's, you know, quite honestly, my first answer is I have no idea how to write a book, how to get a book published. I have no idea how any of that works. So that's probably the first barrier. Then the second barrier would be just time, having the time to do it. Would I like to have a book? Eventually I would. I think I have a unique story that I can share that combines elements of my life and elements of my business, my personal life, my business life, that can give a lot of insight to people. It's just a matter of knowing how. I mean, you've obviously done it a few times. You're working on more books. But for me, it's like I see a book and I'm like, okay, there's obviously a process here that.
You want to know my secret?
What was that?
You want to know my secret?
What is the secret? Tell me.
I have an awesome editor named Gail Seymour. And what I do is I record most of my stuff and she transcribes it, makes it into a book. I look over it, maybe add it, take something, but she does everything. I'm not very good at writing. I'm saying it right now. So
you're not a typewriter or like in Microsoft Word writing out a book. Okay. See, that's easier. That's easier than what I thought.
There's easier. There's a lot of things. I'm very into getting the most work out there, doing the least amount of moves. So, for example, right now I'm interviewing you on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But these videos are going straight to my editor. I don't even have to get them transcribed.
Interesting. Okay.
So right now, and here's something that people can start doing, and this is like a power tip: repurpose your content, but you could also think a little bit more to repurpose it in other areas, like getting yourself a couple of books.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take it as an exception, okay, The Closers Part 3, which I did with Ben Gay III, he's a living legend in sales. He was with Zig Ziglar, Napoleon Hill. It was his protege, right? So if you take that, which we wrote together, which again, a lot of my videos in sales, I just added a few of my seminars and a few things I sent her. And then it was a story, an outline of a story, which she changed. And then what she did was she wrote the whole story. She ghost wrote the story for us.
Yep.
And then we added commentary, sales, tactics, closes, science, and all that stuff. And we got The Closers Part 3.
Okay. So then you end up with a book. Then you end up with a written book, right? A written thing. But then there's taking that and then packaging it up into a book. Marketing.
Nick Nimmin made that cover.
Nice. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Shout out to Nick.
Shout out to Nick.
Right. So like now I have a book, but I want people to buy the book. How do I even? You know what I mean? It's like there's so many steps where it's like you need.
How many guys watching this YouTube right now would buy Andru's book?
Let me know. I need to see that.
Unboxing.com. And if you put your email address in there, you get a free digital copy. And then what you do is when you get the free digital copy, what I do, this is something different than what everyone else does. Everybody, what they do is they do this, just pay for shipping.
Yep.
And what they do is that's the book is it kind of like in there, they make a little bit of a profit and they sell the book that way. What I do is I give Success IAO for free, totally, download it, it's yours. And then what I'll do is I'll give the option if they want to buy a paperback version after about a week. So I upsell it. And the closest part, it works. And I'll even ask him on the same day, hey, by the way, do you want the paper version right now? And the same thing with The Closers Part 3, only that one I give a sample because it's not just mine.
Yep.
And now I'm going to get the books out that are just not going to be given away. They're just going to be sold. And that's it. And then I'll just upsell courses and so forth. And you could do public speaking gigs. There's more to it than that. It's for a different time, but we can talk about it. Maybe we can come together.
Interesting.
So let's talk a little bit about success and lifestyle a little bit, because that's what this channel is about, is success mindset and sales training. But let's talk a little bit about success. Do you have any habits or any habits or morning rituals?
You know, I hear a lot of people that they wake up and they meditate or they read or they, you know, for me, I don't know if it's, this might be a boring answer, but like I wake up, I get ready, like I get dressed and I'm immediately in, okay, what happened overnight? Who's emailed me? Who's texted me? Who's waiting for me to get back to them? The one ritual will probably be the calendar. What's on the calendar for today? Because I always have all these ideas just floating around in my head for what I can do, and like video ideas. So I guess that might be part of it, is like I'll type them into a notepad as they come across in my head in the morning. But other than that, I'm pretty much almost right into work mode. The one thing that, you know, I will do, because not only do I work from home, but my wife works from home separately for her company. So she's not working with me. So she has her home office, I have mine. So the nice thing about that is we get to like see each other in the morning and spend time together in the morning for a little bit before I get to work. But usually, like, only thing on my mind is I got to get to work and get, you know, there's just so much stuff coming in. I got to just get there. And, you know, I try to go through email. The one thing for me, I see a lot of people in the tech industry who are obsessed with having an empty inbox. Like they want to hit inbox 0. And at the end of the day, they'll take a screenshot and tweet it out, inbox 0. And, you know, to me, you know, I have to focus on the things that are important for my business and audience. And email, even though it's digital, if you think about it, if you just printed out every email you get in a day, and if someone just came to you at the end of the day and said, hey, here's just read all this and respond, you'd be like, what? Who are you to give me? Well, because I felt like giving you this, I need you to read all this and respond. Email is someone else deciding to send you something. If you're doing inbox zero, what you're saying is you're letting other people dictate your time than you dictating what's important, because they decided to email you. Now you're saying, now I have to clear this out of my inbox. I don't let other people dictate my time. So I just kind of, I look through quickly what's in the email, skim, see if anything sticks out. And then other than that, I will start thinking of video ideas and then just kind of go to work on getting those videos out. Like, that's the main thing, is working with brands and kind of crafting these videos. And then if travel's involved, traveling to see this stuff. And it's almost like Groundhog Day, because pretty much every day is that kind of thing. It's either I'm traveling somewhere, or I'm not traveling and I'm just working on videos, morning till evening. So I don't have an exciting answer for like a ritual other than just getting to work.
It's funny because I was just about to ask, what does a typical day look like? And it's just kind of like you answered that one as well. So
now, the end of the day, though, this isn't work, but maybe this is part of it, because I do believe in downtime. I do believe in kind of coming down. And so it kind of goes back. What's cool is I never get tired of the tech that I work with. And again, 14 years later, I still love this stuff. And so at the end of the day, you might find me just sitting on the couch playing the Xbox, like whatever the newest game is. Maybe it's NBA 2K coming out. Maybe it's Fallout. Just sitting and just taking an hour to myself to just kind of zone out and just like kind of bring my mind down from the workday. But even, silly, even if I'm working on tech videos for the day, another way for me to like relax is to just open up my RSS reader and just read tech news and just see, what I missed for the day. So, the work and the life are so interconnected because I love it so much. I don't think I'm a workaholic. I think I just love tech so much that I will do what I would typically do for work. I would also do for leisure. You're
a techaholic.
There you go.
Vacations or working vacations?
Man, I'm the only one at my company. So I have a company, it's a successful company, but I'm the only employee here. So if I go on vacation, no one else is paying the bills. So what I usually try to do, especially because I have to make a piece of content, and it's easiest for me to make that content here, is if I know I'm going on vacation, I'll actually go into double work mode the week before. So I kind of pre-make some content so that when I'm away, I can just log in and just set it to public. So there's always stuff coming out. I do try, especially if I'm with my wife, like I do try on vacation to not be like on my phone all day, or
don't get into crypto.
You'll be exactly.
Like this.
Yeah, because she'll leave like, we're supposed to be on vacation. It's supposed to be just us. We're supposed to be getting away, and here I am, like we're in the middle of like looking at elephants or something, and I'm like answering else. Like, oh, what do you mean? What animal was that? I missed it. So I try to like be more present. So I would say more often than not, there is work still being done on my vacations. But when I'm with her, I do try to minimize it as much as possible. But
I'm laughing because of my girlfriend, man. It's the same thing.
I mean, and I know it's hard for a lot of people to understand, but the average person, when they go on vacation, they have vacation time.
Yeah.
Whatever company they work for is still running, even though they're not there. And when they come back, the company's there. Whereas for me, if I'm gone and no one's answering the emails, like no one else is here to take over for me. So I kind of got to keep things running. If you're an entrepreneur out there, you probably know.
Yeah. People don't understand what it takes. And it's 15, 16, 20 hours work sometimes. You mentioned you play with tech, but that's part of your job.
Absolutely.
And the same with me. I'm watching like seminars and stuff, and my girlfriend will understand that it's part of my job. Part of it's to learn, to watch.
Yep.
And I'm like always on my phone. I'm not on Facebook.
Yes, exactly.
Either doing something, answering emails, or watching, Bitcoin dumping and me, losing thousands and thousands of dollars. It's not
true.
And she saw me doing that at night in bed. She thought I was cheating on her, like messaging girls. I'm like, nope. I wish.
Bitcoin. My wife's like, why are your fingers always flying so fast? Who are you talking to? I'm like, you see this email? Do you see this? I I'm writing right now. I'm trying to get someone to pay us money. Products are coming in all the time. And my wife is very frugal. So like if it was up to my wife, we'd have like a 13-inch black and white TV, and that's what we would watch TV on. So companies will send, like a 75-inch TV, and she's like, oh, what is this? We don't even need all this stuff. I'm like, do you not understand what like the second that these things stop arriving, that's when you should be worried, because that means I'm no longer relevant in this industry. As long as things are coming in, that means I have work to do and we're getting paid. Like,
do you send these out? Do you like send it out to people for also as a part of your channel? I'm not sure. I think you did some giveaways a few times.
I do giveaways all the time. Yeah, I do giveaways all the time because it's just a cool way to give back. Like like I said, I really do appreciate the people that watch and spend their time. Like it's almost like they include me as part of their day, and I recognize the importance of that, because the most valuable asset we have is our time. It's not our money. In my opinion, it's our time. How do you spend your time? Where are you spending your time? Who are you spending it with? And they're choosing to spend, even if it's 5 minutes, with me or watching me. So I really appreciate that, and so it's kind of my way of just saying thank you. Like here's this cool thing. Here's this new phone that just came out, and we're just gonna give it away to one of the viewers out there, and it's just a way to say thanks. It's just a way to give back. Now, obviously, I'm not giving back to everybody because there's only going to be like 1 or 2 or 3 winners. But still, it's just I don't know how else to say thank you than to if you're me, if I'm talking to myself out there, the one thing I would want is to get my hands on new gear and not have to spend any money on it. So that's what I'm trying to do, just give back to people. Now, some things I can't give away, like a giant TV I can't give away unless the company kind of works with me on that and they're going to ship it out and everything. But still, even a smartphone, a lot of times these days, these phones are $6,000, $7,000. And so just to be able to send that out to someone for free and just write them a little note with it, like I feel really good about that.
Oh, you write a little note too?
Yeah, like because I want it to feel like a personal, a personal thing. Like I want to actually write thank you for watching and all that kind of stuff, not just give them the thing.
I do that in hotels, or whenever I go to like seminars and stuff. I just always leave like a note, like a personal note or something, or whenever. It's just
that's nice,
or a smiley face or something. Just make someone's day.
Yes.
All right. So do you, and I think I know the answer to this one, you already answered, but do you have any hobbies that contributed to your success? I would guess your tech stuff that you play around with, right?
Yeah, so there's the tech stuff, obviously. As I mentioned earlier, like I want to be a pro wrestler and all that stuff that I learned from that process. I'm still a fan of that. Like a lot of the guys that I trained with back in the day, they're on TV these days. They work for WWE. And so I still get to see them when they travel to town. I get to actually hang out with them and stuff. I would say those are really the two things, whether it's tech and as odd as it sounds, pro wrestling. And then I've also just always been enamored by people who are self-made, people who are able to take their own talent or learn a skill and turn it into the business that they love, like use their passion. And so that would be another thing I would say is just the fascination of someone saying, I'm going to control my own destiny. I'm not going to go and make someone else rich. I'm going to try to make myself rich.
Yeah.
I would say those are the 3 things that kind of drove me and led me here.
Nice. What keeps you awake at night?
Quite honestly, nothing. And I say that because if I lay down on a pillow, I'm sleeping within 30 seconds. I'm done. I'm out.
Okay.
But the thing, I think the one thing, and probably a lot of entrepreneurs will feel this way, is you don't really know where your next check is coming from because you always have to constantly be generating business. It's like the longest contract I'll usually have is like 6 months, but the majority of the brand deals I do are just a one-time thing. Like, hey, do you want to do a deal? Yes. Work on a video for 2 weeks. They like it, publish it, they pay, and we're done. Yeah. So it's always trying to make sure that there's, a stream of business coming in, because, there's going to be a time, especially in tech, where I will no longer be relevant. Maybe I'm going to be like, when I'm 70 years old, who's going to want to hear me talking about the latest whatever, when there's all these young people out there connecting on their level. So there's obviously going to be a time, who knows when it is, where, companies will probably reach out to me less and less and less over time. So it's really more just setting myself up for the future for when that happens, and keeping that in mind. Similar to anyone else who has to plan for retirement, it's almost like that, planning for when that time comes. What am I going to do, and how can I set myself up now to survive, the rest of life once this kind of starts to fade away.
Nice. So I'm going to go into some success questions right now. And the first one I have to ask is, what does success mean to you? Because it can mean different things to different people.
Yeah, that kind of is my answer. It means different things to different people. Success to me just means I'm able to feed my family and live comfortably. That's it. Yeah. I know success for other people might mean I need to be a millionaire, or I need to be able to start a business and then sell the business and then, do that multiple times. I need to be an angel investor. For me, it's a lot simpler. It's just, I want to be able to do what I love. And while doing what I love, support my family and, put food on the table and have a fun life. That's it. I want to make memories with my family. So that's success to me, but I understand that, success to different, everybody's going to have a different definition of that, which is so interesting. Some people's success might mean just being able to be comfortable with talking to a camera and publishing a video. Who cares if money is made or not? I just want to be able to do that. And if they do that, they feel successful. So, for me, it's just that one step further, where it's living comfortably, supporting my family, and doing what I love. That's success for me.
Do you think, as you just mentioned money, do you think anyone can be successful in life and break out of poverty?
I think, well, when you say anyone, that, I'm sure there's people who may not have the ability to do so, but I don't think that your living situation or your financial situation is what's going to define your success. It's more your mindset and your skills that are going to define your success. If you lack skills, if you're able to learn skills, put time in, you can be successful there. If you're willing to put in the work, if you're able to put in the work, if you're willing and able to put in the work, I don't see why anything else should be a defining, characteristic of how successful you can be.
Okay. What does it actually take to succeed? What does it really take?
I think it takes will, it takes grit. It takes, you have to have it's like fortitude. Like, nothing can stop me. It's like that attitude. Nothing can stop me. If you have that attitude of, I'm going to do, even if you fail, failure does not mean you're not successful. Failure is like your training wheels to get there. I just think you have to be willing to put in time, and you have to be willing to learn from a mistake. But as long as you say to yourself, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get there, and as long as you're also open to recognizing the opportunity. And I say that because I have one example. There was this kid, I was talking at an event, and he came up to me. This event's called, what was it called? Playlist Live. Mm-hmm. He comes up to me and he says, I just wanted to thank you because I put out something on Twitter a couple of weeks ago where I was trying to make it to this YouTube event, but you needed to have a minimum of 1,000 subscribers. And I had been on YouTube for 3 years and I only got to 800 and I needed 200 more within a week. And I reached out to a bunch of different people who I know on YouTube, and you were the only one who responded. You gave me advice. And I said, that's cool. That's awesome. Did you get to go to the event? And he said, I did not, because I only got to 950 subscribers. And he said, but it took me, I think it was 5 years to get to 800 and a week to get to 950. And he said, but that wasn't what I wanted to thank you for. I wanted to thank you because what you told me was not to be tunnel vision on YouTube success. And that success can be anywhere. And so what he did was, and I don't know if the server is still around, but he was a dancer. And so he was doing these dancing videos on YouTube, and he wasn't getting a lot of traction. And then he decided to join something called Musical.ly, which is a different, it's almost like Twitter / Facebook, but for music stuff. And he started putting his dancing videos on Musical.ly. And in that 2 weeks, he had gained 40,000 subscribers.
Oh, wow.
Because he wasn't saying to himself, success to me means I need to grow a YouTube channel. Success meant I need to find my audience. So he went to find where his audience was, not YouTube. It didn't have to be YouTube. It could be anywhere. And the reason he was shaking my hand was because at the event where I met him, they invited him and flew him out so he could do his dance routine on stage.
That is awesome.
So success, you can't have tunnel vision. Success can't be, I need to make it and I need to do it this exact way, otherwise I failed. Success for him was, you know what, I need to step away from YouTube. I need to think about who is my audience and where are they? And I'm going to reach them there. Instead of saying, I expect people to come to me, he said, I'm going to go find them and I'm going to go there. And he took the time, took the effort, and to him, he became successful because he was able to not be so strict on, I need to be a YouTuber. It was, I need to find my audience and connect with them.
That is awesome. That is a great example. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe in mentors, and do you have any mentors in your life?
Do I believe in mentors? I do believe in mentors. I'm sure, anybody can use a mentor or even just a sounding board. It's always better to have someone to bounce ideas off of and talk to, but especially to learn from. Do I have any mentors? I don't have any that I would say that I talk to with any regularity these days, but going back to what I said earlier, like I can always think about my dad. And, even though he's gone now, he died of cancer about 12 years ago or so. I can oh, thanks, man. I can still imagine like what he might say or how he might say it, or just the example. I don't even need him to say it because I can just observe him, his example of how he was and how he lived. And that kind of is my method, I guess, for kind of having a mentor, because I haven't found any better mentor for how to live your life as an entrepreneur. That said, I do often, even if it's not a direct relationship with someone, like I said, I do often watch YouTube videos of people who I admire, and even people I don't admire, I just want to know what's out there and what people are saying, what people think. And it allows me to kind of parse through and say, if I don't like something, why don't I like it? Like, you can learn a lot from things you disagree with. Why do I disagree with this? And kind of really work through, or I disagree with this, but does this work? Like, let me think about this. Oh, change your mind. Be open to changing your mind. So I guess my biggest mentor these days would be YouTube. Just watching people give talks and, kind of trying to extract what I can from them.
Nice. What is the best advice you can give people struggling to succeed, like right now?
The best advice, I guess, would be everybody struggles. We all struggle. That's it. Like, you have to be willing to do it. If you're struggling, the difference between your struggle and mine is I didn't give up. That's it.
Yeah.
I could have given up and then I'd just be another person who struggled and gave up. If you're struggling and don't give up and kind of push through, determine what's working, what's not working, why is it not working, you'll eventually find what you need to tweak, and you'll work towards, success, whatever success means to you. Struggling is not, and again, we all have our different levels of what we can take. And I think mental health is very important. Yeah. So if you're struggling to the point where it's messing with your mental health, take a break. I'm not one of those guys. Like, there's a lot of people out there who are just like, you just work, you get there, just keep doing it. Don't give up. It's like, I'm not all about that. I think, you need to be cognizant of your health more than anything else. Yeah. So keep your mental health in check. If you feel like the struggle is too much for you, then kind of step back. But if you're just in general, I'm struggling, this is too hard, and it's not a mental health thing, you just have to know, like, I don't know anybody who's gotten to a place of success, almost like climbing a mountain. It's like climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
That's a struggle. It's not, no one just walks up Mount Everest. Like, I'm just going to walk up, you struggle to get to the top. But once you're there and you look back, like, oh, that struggle was worth it because look where I am. Anything worth fighting for is difficult. Like I said, I'm a dad. Like, now making a baby is very easy to make a baby, but to raise a child, that's a struggle. It's difficult. Like, it's not the easiest thing in the world because you're dealing with a life. You're dealing with, wanting to make a person who will grow into an adult that contributes to society. Like, there's all these things, there's all these pressures. That's not easy. It is a struggle, but a lot of people do it because they know, despite the struggle, the end result is worth it. So, the one thing is it worth it? Is it worth the struggle you're going through, whatever your goal is? If you feel at some point, this isn't worth it, listen to yourself and stop, because that's where I think mental health starts to come in. If you're struggling for something that isn't worth struggling for, that's going to lead to bad things in your mind. But if you're struggling for something that you truly believe in, I think that kind of pulls you through. It's just stick with it.
It's funny. A lot of gurus or so-called gurus out there say you should don't follow your passion to make money. Follow this, but people don't understand it. If you're following your passion, you'll be able to go through the troubles and still kind of do what you gotta do. And It's all a mindset. You have to keep moving. And I'll give you an example, because a lot of people, first of all, you went through a lot in your childhood to get where you are, and people don't understand. They're like, oh, okay, but he grew older after. But you still have to go through struggles. And I'll give you an example. I was fighting cancer 2 years ago. I wrote these 2 books while I was fighting cancer and started my YouTube channel while fighting cancer. Didn't know if I was going to live or not. If you look at my early videos, no eyebrows, no hair. Well, I didn't have a hair anyway, but and I did that, and I went broke. I went bankrupt a few times in my life. 2 days ago, my sister died of cancer, and my mother is now getting chemotherapy fighting cancer. So, and still, and I'm not saying you're not allowed to cry. I'm not saying you're not allowed to scream and shout.
Course,
you gotta keep moving, man. And sometimes my editor said something very very wise to me, and it's gonna be my book, because it was like kind of like when everything was happening, I had like a block, like nothing was going on, then it hit me suddenly. But before that, she told me, your brain won't let you cope with anything until you're ready to cope with it. So don't feel bad if you're not feeling that. I still don't believe she's gone. It hit me yesterday or the day before, and I had a little small part of insanity, but it just blocked it out again. And your brain won't let you cope until you're ready to cope with it. You know what I mean? And you just gotta keep moving. You gotta keep moving, and it's hard. It's not easy.
It is hard. But I tell people a lot of times, the things that seem hard, other people have done them.
Yeah.
Right? If other people have dealt with death or failure or, anything you can think of, you're not the first one. Yeah. You're not the first one to deal with this. So know in your mind that other people have gone through. Yeah. Other people have gone through this. And either that should give you comfort to know you can get through it too, or should give you the knowledge that there are other people I can talk to about this. There are other people out there who've done this, already dealt with this, and I can reach out and find those people to get the advice as to how to get through this myself. And so I think it's just a recognition of, knowing that you're not alone. I don't know that there's really anything that can happen in this world that you're the first person that this has happened to. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's just a matter of finding that community to kind of help you out.
And if anyone wants to reach out to me, or you as well, I'm open. Like anybody wants to reach, especially if it's something to do with whatever we're talking about, especially cancer. I'm very, very open. Please reach out to me if anything I can do, or panic attacks or anything like that, which I used to go through as well, by the way. So let's just move on. What question do you wish people asked you but never do?
I think it's more, not that I wish that they would ask, but I think people miss, a lot of times people ask me how to start doing what I do because they think it's easy. And I don't know what the exact question would be, but I wish people would kind of ask more about how do I learn how to do this rather than like a short, like it seems like they're looking for a shortcut. They want, when they ask me the question, they're looking for me to say like a 1 or 2 sentence answer that's just a magic potion that they can just start tomorrow and be making all this money tomorrow. I wish people recognize, a lot of people recognize that it's not, it's being an entrepreneur is not just snapping your fingers and just something happens. It takes skill, it takes work, it takes time, and you really got to put in the work. You got to put in the hustle. And I wish more people kind of either recognize that before they ask the question, or when I answer the question and tell them that they would be like, oh, okay, like I'm willing to do that. How do I get started here?
Yeah.
Because usually it's they think it's easy. They ask, I tell them realistically what it takes, and they're like, oh, okay, I can't do all that, like that, So then the conversation's over. So I wish more people kind of were prepared to put the work in, because I'm totally willing to help anybody.
Yeah.
If they want to put the work in, I will show them every single. I'm not scared to, a lot of people like kind of hide their secrets. Like I have no secrets. I'm not scared. Like there's audience for everybody out there. So if I can help you find your audience, absolutely, I would do it. But I think that's it. Just people, I guess, kind of respecting a little more what it takes to get there.
Nice. So you could be like a mentor.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm an open book. I like to help people. I want people to, I'm a big fan of entrepreneurism. Like I want to see people succeed. I want to see people reach their dreams, reach their goals. Like I like seeing that. I like to cheer people on. So yeah, and a lot of people text me. Like I give my phone number to some people. They'll text me asking for advice, email me asking for advice. I never use the mentor word or term, but I guess that's kind of what I'm doing. I just didn't realize it until you said it. Yeah, I didn't realize it.
So where do you see yourself in the future?
I don't know that the future will be all that different. Continue to work with brands. I've started to appear in commercials for some brands as well now. So not just featuring their products in my videos, but they're featuring me in their videos. I'm going to be doing a little more of that going forward. Just it's cool that I've been able to work my way up to where companies see me as a value to their audience, and as almost having me represent them to their audience. Let me do a little more of that. I hope to do more speaking. I enjoy coming out, teaching people what I know, talking to them afterwards. I just spoke at Video Marketing World, which was crazy because I had the 8 a.m. slot. So at first I was like, no one's even it's gonna be too early. People are gonna be still sleeping. But there was a good turnout, and then after I was done, I did a Q&A while I was talking, and then after I was done, there were still people that had questions. I said, I'm just going to step outside, and if you have questions, just come out there, and I'll just meet with all you guys, and we'll just go through all your questions. And I had a line that took an hour and 45 minutes.
Wow, that's cool.
And it was just so, again, to me, it's just like so mind-blowing that someone decided to wait almost 2 hours just to ask me a couple of questions. So, doing more of that is definitely on my list as well. But that's another one of those things where I don't necessarily know all the places that I need to be to speak at. Like, I don't even know all the conferences that there are. You know what I mean? I just know when I get an invite to one. So, but I want to be more proactive about that and find out like what conferences are going on, when they're going on, and how I can kind of pitch myself to get on stage. But other than that, I just plan to do the same thing, which is, work with gadgets and engage my community and keep working with brands.
Nice. Andrew, finally, is there anything else you would like to add?
Oh, man.
The worst question everyone hates.
I know. I was like, that's a very open-ended question. But I think if I was going to add one thing, it would be what we just said a few minutes ago, which is everybody struggles. Everybody struggles. There's nothing that you're going through that no one else has gone through before. So if you can recognize that there are other people who are doing this, there's other people who, not only that, there's other people who are going through what you're going through, but one thing that gets me through a lot of times when I'm feeling that way is the recognition that there's probably 1 million people on this earth who would trade whatever situation they're in for the situation that I'm complaining about. They would much rather have the problem that I'm dealing with than all the problems that they're dealing with in their life. And so just kind of recognizing that no matter what we go through, there's worse situations out there. And, remembering I need to be thankful that I even have this problem. I need to be thankful that I even have to worry about, why hasn't this brand paid me? It's been 60 days. That means I'm in a position to work with these brands in the first place. You know what I mean? So I think that's really it, is just, reach out to people who've been in similar situations to you. If you need help, don't be shy about doing that, because there's a lot of people who love helping people. And yeah, just struggle is the way to get to the top of the mountain.
Nice. Andrew, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. You were great. You were awesome. You rocked.
Thank you.
If you guys have any questions for Andrew, please ask in the comment section below, and I will try to get these questions to him. And I will also leave links to everything he has, his YouTube channel. Make sure you check him out, Andru Edwards, and all links to his website and whatever else I can find. I still remember unboxing.com.
That's right.
So if you enjoyed this, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell notification button so you don't miss anything. Andrew, is there anything last you would like to say?
Thanks for watching.
Thank you, man. And thank you, guys. So until next time, keep succeeding.